Yo, what's up? Welcome to another episode of How'd I
But
Get
he
Here
did,
podcast, the podcast for positivity, progression, and finding your own path. It's your co-host, Mr. Brown, Broken Guapo. 10 toes down, big head up. I'm going to stop telling Brian how to do his job because I don't know what's what.
Go ahead, Dr. Seuss.
Come on, first lady.
That was a bar. I can't follow up after that.
Nah.
But I will. Hey, y'all. I'm back again. Y'all see I got a bike again.
What? In headphones.
Right. Still got my computer, though. This lovely hot Tuesday. Y'all stay cool because it's a heat wave this week.
Yeah.
Thursday's going to be the nastiest, so don't go outside. Or go outside.
Drink your water, stay hydrated, because we know y'all skin be getting dry and
Right.
stuff.
Like drink your water, mind your
Yeah.
business.
Hey yo! Wait, what's the temperature gonna be on Thursday?
It's gonna be like 100, but with humidity,
damn.
it's gonna feel like 107.
It's going to feel like a desert.
Like you could probably cook an egg on the street.
I'm calling out.
Hot boys.
She said, "I'm gonna go to the beach."
I'm going to the
That's
beach
the
tomorrow.
last place I'm going. When it's hot out?
Well, a lot of people do like to do that. Like a lot of my
Because
coworkers
the
said,
water's cold, you just go get in the water.
"Yeah, but the sand, like you're gonna burn your feet."
Nah, you just dig it in and just.
I'm not gonna walk to the water with my foot burned.
That was your first mistake. You got to run, and then you got to do that.
I'm
You know?
crying. I'm crying.
I'm not doing that.
Your boy Spence, yo, King Aquarius, Mr. 20% Wealth Strategist, Forward Dog. We are here at the Collective Space recording yet another Tuesday. Yeah, it's hot. Like it's moist on the walls.
He said the walls is sweating,
Yeah.
percolating.
Hold on, let me see.
Yeah, look at that.
It felt dry. Maybe that side.
Yeah, I don't know, but we
know
here.
my
We have
back
a
is
very
sweating.
special guest. We got TJ. Do you prefer TJ Sullivan or TJ Noel Sullivan?
TJ Noel Sullivan. My mom gets mad if you say TJ Sullivan.
Wow, TJ
Noel,
Noel.
Noel's her name.
Got to keep
Oh,
my,
forever. Oh, that's dope.
Oh,
keep
that's
Mama
so
Noel
sweet.
happy.
That's a fact. We had writer and director of the new movie Midas, which is gonna be in theaters June 28th. I'm gonna let him do the rest though. What up, TJ?
So, thank you guys for having me. Yeah, TJ Noel Sullivan. Movie coming out June 28th in theaters across the country. Also the owner of the Hartford Film Company. And excited to be back at the Collective because the business started here at the Collective Space. So shout out the Collective Space.
Let him know.
Period.
Yeah, that's dope. Where dreams are created, y'all. The Collective Space. Y'all playing.
Kaisha, we got to charge you for that, by the way.
Right.
That was a dope tagline.
You're right. Clip that. So y'all know how we start every week with the question of the day. You got something?
No, I brought water because we were just talking about hydration, and I left it over there.
Same.
Well, you know what I got?
Water.
Must be nice. Must be nice.
Gotta find someone who. My bad.
That's crying. But y'all know how we kick it off.
Thank
Each
you,
week.
hand.
Question of the day.
That's cool.
Y'all never saw Kevin Hart with the bath?
No, I did.
And it'd be like, come
That-
here, white hand.
That's why I said
And the
it's
white hand just-
crazy.
Come here, black hand. My
Hey,
bad.
yo. We kick it off with the question of the day. This one's going to be super cliche. So either what is your favorite overall movie, TV show, or current movie or TV show?
Can I answer both of them?
Yeah, you can do what you want. It's your show.
You right. Favorite movie, hands down, Finding Nemo. That is my go-to if I'm in a bad mood. If you see me watching Finding Nemo, I'm in a bad mood.
It's your feel-good movie.
I could recite, Dad, first day of school, first. I know that whole entire movie.
Same.
You're going to the yeah. Don't hurt yourself, but like, bro, the whole Nemo touched the butt. I love.
I was like,
that
whoa.
movie.
He was like, whoa. We were like, whoa.
Yeah,
This
I
just
love.
happened.
And did you know that the reason the turtles were so high?
Yes, the
is because
jellyfish!
In real life, when turtles eat jellyfish, they have something in them that
Actually makes them
actually
high.
makes turtles high.
Yeah.
So in the movie, the reason the turtles seemed high is because
'Cause they
were.
was.
Because he rescued Dory and Marlin from the field of jellyfish.
And that's why he was like, jelly.
Yeah.
Crazy, right?
I wasn't expecting that. So yeah, no one knows the question of the day. Like I literally So okay.
But yes, favorite movie, Finding Nemo. Favorite TV show of all times is Suits.
Yeah. Okay. I like
Hands
that.
down. Watched
like
it
that.
5 times.
I'll go. So, favorite movie is so hard for me because I get asked so much, and also my job is to kind of watch movies, which is a great job.
That's dope. Yeah.
So I get my top 3, which is Ocean's 11, hence
Solid.
making a heist movie.
Yep.
The Dark Knight,
Classic.
Great.
and Whiplash.
Yes. Yo, so many people have not seen Whiplash. Yes. Have y'all seen Whiplash?
Well,
I have.
I have not, but I also, the way you just jump, I've never seen you that excited.
What, bro? So because that's one of the movies that like I'll put on, like, oh yeah, what do y'all watch? Like, oh wow, Whiplash is on this streaming site. Yeah, that's my movie. Why do you like it though?
So I think it's such a good movie about like, and actually maybe
Perseverance?
No, about like balancing work-life balance and like not going too deep in. But interestingly, I was at a talk with the UConn women's basketball team and Coach Oriyama.
Yeah.
And they were all like, oh, our favorite movie is Whiplash because the lesson is you just have to like push yourself to the extreme to be a champion. I was like, I don't think you guys watched like the last 20 minutes of the movie. That is not the lesson of the movie.
Right.
He said we're not watching the same movie.
No, that's a fact. It's funny too because the first time I watched it, I would have said the same thing. But I've watched that movie a lot. And I was like, oh wow, no, this movie's about balance. Interesting.
I gotta go watch it.
It's a good movie. It's also like about playing the drums. So that's why- yeah. So I was like, yes. Ash. Oh, do you have a TV show? My bad.
TV show. So I really loved Ted Lasso. And I think it was partially Ted Lasso, I think, was of the moment. Like, it was exactly what we needed as an audience. Like, coming out of COVID, people were depressed, and it was just like a feel-good show.
What's Ted Lasso?
Ted Lasso is the Apple TV show about the football coach who goes to coach British football or, soccer.
Soccer, okay.
Yeah.
And it's such a, like, funny but, like, feel-good show.
Yeah.
It came out during COVID when everyone was depressed, and it was just, like,
Right.
exactly what we needed.
Very easy watch, but
Yeah.
a good, like, not boring.
It was lighthearted.
Yeah, that's a good way to. Yeah.
Okay. Ted Lasso.
I do love Suits, though. Suits, I watched for the
Amazing.
first time when it kind of made its Netflix revitalization.
Oh, they're finishing it now.
Yeah, they're
The
putting
new season's
season
actually
9.
coming, yeah.
Yeah, it just dropped actually. It's on
Did
there.
it?
Mhm.
Word.
Had to go all the way to Amazon Prime just to watch season 9, and now they got it on Netflix.
That was a bar.
Like, man, Netflix. Let me tell y'all something, Netflix.
Ooh.
I'm
Oh, boy.
Get us
tired.
canceled.
I'm not gonna get y'all canceled. I love that y'all are being more haste in certain areas, and then you have the quickness of getting things out there. There's a balance, and I see your balance. I'm just saying though, put all the seasons of a show just one time. Just throw it all in there so we can binge watch it one time. Cause now I gotta wait, and it's just too much.
And furthermore, Netflix camera over here. Yeah.
He said, right here,
Netflix.
right here.
If y'all do ever want to put a podcast on there, just let us know. Like, it's in our budget. We not that expensive, and we're fun. All right. So Netflix.
We reviewed the numbers.
Yes.
It's in there.
It's trust
in
me.
there.
You can afford us. All right.
Word.
I say like I'm like TJ. I have like a top 5.
Top five.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna just do a little bit of each. So for movies, I'm gonna also say another like feel good for me is Shrek.
Okay,
I could quote
like that.
every single line in Shrek.
Wipe your shoes. Wipe your face.
And then another one. I know it's gonna be very childish, but I love Trolls. Like I love all the Trolls movies.
Never seen it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect you to.
Yeah.
The only reason I've seen is because my niece is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a child at heart, so I'm gonna watch
Like
it.
when Justin Timberlake did his performance, they're like, "Oh my god, this is from Trolls." I'm like, "Who?"
And then for shows, Blacklist, hands down, is my top.
Yeah, solid. You put me onto that.
I was so sad when they ended it. But I loved the way they ended it. It was like a full circle moment the way they ended it. But if you haven't watched it, go watch it.
Yep.
Suits is also definitely up there too.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like one more I'll always go back to. Oh, I love going back to like the classic 90s like black TV shows and films.
Like Martin.
Yeah, like Martin, My Wife and Kids, like all of those wrapped in one. I'm just going to bundle that because there's a lot to go through, so that's just a bundle.
Living
Single.
Word.
I love the energy today. This is great. This is what happens when you dehydrated and tired.
Whoa. Speak for yourself.
No, I'm good.
This is my second bottle.
Ooh, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Trying to get that gallon of water.
I drank a mad Gatorade today. I'm tired. My movies. Yeah, I like a lot of movies, but my favorite overall not go-to movie, but my favorite movie is definitely Good Will Hunting.
That's a good one.
Like that one, I don't know. I saw it as a kid, and I was just like, I don't get it. And then I watched it later. I'm like, wow, Robin, because you don't really see Robin Williams in a lot of serious like movies.
True. Did Poet Society though?
That's another one. That's
why I like what's homie with from The Mask? Jim Carrey in The Number 23.
Well, I've never seen it.
It's a psychological thriller.
Okay.
And you hear Jim Carrey and you think like, oh, he's gonna be funny in it. It's not.
He had like a total like switch in his life.
It was very early in his career.
Oh, really?
Very, very early.
I love early Jim Carrey though. Like,
Yeah.
there's something about him. Like, he's just a very like, his acting was just raw. Like, you felt everything he was doing.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Matt Damon. Like early Matt Damon, like 90s Matt Damon, bro.
You better say The Accountant.
No, that's Ben Affleck.
That's Ben Affleck.
No, but I'm saying though, you're gonna add that to your.
Oh, to the movie list?
Yeah, sorry, I was jumping ahead.
No, the next one's definitely Lion King. Like,
Oh yeah.
not even close. Like, yeah, Lion King's my shit. Shows, Suits as well. I've seen. I think I watch Suits twice a year. Like,
Really?
Yeah, sometimes I just gotta
got
throw something
time.
on.
I thought you watched it more than that.
Well, damn.
I just thought he did. There's always a Suits reference that he'd be just throwing out. So I'm like, maybe he's watching it again.
Nah. And then Rurouni Kenshin, which is an anime.
Oh, that's throwback.
Yeah.
Super old.
Yeah, Weapon X, which for those of you people, do you watch anime?
No, not really.
That's all good. For those of you people who don't watch anime, it is about a samurai who was basically a mass murderer in like this old war, and then he decided he's like, I'm not gonna kill anyone anymore. So he flipped the blade of his sword backwards, and then lived his life like that, and was still bodying folks. That was a great message.
All
What I
right,
learned
we
in
do not
boating
promote
school
violence,
is-
children.
No, I'm joking.
All right, so now that we got this, the juice is flowing. TJ,
Noel
thank you.
Sullivan.
The full name.
Yeah,
So writer director, right? Does one come first? How do they correlate? How do they differentiate? That's a big title.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was in college and someone told me I wanted to direct, and someone told me, hey, if you want to direct a good first movie, you have to write it, because nobody's going to give you a good script if you've never directed before. And so I was like, okay, I guess I got to learn how to be a writer solely so that I can direct something that I'm proud of.
Right.
So the goal is always, and I think in the future I will do some projects that I'm just directing and not writing, because writing is such a long process. So like
imagine.
I wrote the first draft of the script for Midas in 2020, and it was 2 years of rewriting, and like it's hard when it's just the project is just like on your laptop.
Right.
That's a long time to live with a project.
Right. And are you at that point like sending it to folks to revise?
Yeah, I mean, that's doing revisions, doing like table reads where we'd bring people in, and like at the time it was COVID, we were doing over Zoom where we like send everybody, and everybody would like practice the lines and stuff, and I could hear it out loud and be like, oh, that doesn't sound right, or oh, that's really working well, or whatever. But it's a long process to write. So I think that, I'm the writer director on this one. I will probably write and direct a couple more projects, but the goal is eventually to just direct. Yeah.
So, and I know me, like one of my friends, he makes music out in Buffalo, right? And he's like, he always says like, I appreciate your opinion, but like, I want to do this my way. You know what I mean? He always says like, can't nobody tell me nothing. You know what I mean? Which me and him go back and forth about that. But where does like you're writing this and now you're taking like advice from other people, because at some point like you want it to be your project, but also like
F your critique.
But actually, you know what I mean, like you take criticism, but then you also like have to, hey, maybe put this in there. and it's no longer yours or whatever,
Yeah, so I think there's two interesting pieces there. One is I think film is like a unique art form in that you have to have other validation more to actually get it made, because like music, other forms of art, like you can just do what you want to do, and like it doesn't cost all that much to just do what you want to do.
Right.
Film, like you have to get investors on board, and so like I could write a script that I absolutely love, but like if investors aren't like, oh, I believe in this project, I want to invest in it, it's not happening. And same thing with crew. Like, we had 40 people working on this movie. All 40 of those people had to read the script and say, hey, this is something I want to be a part of.
Into.
Yeah. So that's, I think, one of the challenges of film. And the other thing that I found, like, going through that 2-year revision process, and, like, I complain about the 2 years, but it honestly made the movie a lot better. And typically what I found would happen is I would share it with somebody. I would go out, like, get drinks with them. They'd give me their notes. And in the moment, I'd get very defensive and be like, oh, like, this is my project. Like, you just didn't understand this. But I always tried to not respond in the moment. Just sit on it, think on it for a second. And usually the next week I go, okay, maybe if I don't agree with, like, their suggestion, the note behind the note, like, what was wrong with it for them, that can be fixed, that should be fixed, and I come up with something new. And that's how I think you keep it yours, is if you just, someone says, hey, I think you should make this change, and you just implement it immediately, then you lose control of your script, and that's how you end up with these scripts that, like, don't make sense, these big Hollywood blockbuster scripts.
Cabin in the Woods.
But if you were saying, okay, I understand the note, I understand that something needs to be fixed, but I'm going to figure out the solution, I think that's how you maintain ownership.
And that's, like, the interesting part, because, like, with us, with the podcast, where we try to figure out, and we figured it but still figuring out, is, like, delivering our message, because at the end of the day, yes, we want to stay true to us, but it still needs to be consumed by somebody.
Yeah.
Like, we're not just doing this for us so we got to find a way to, like, deliver something to someone our way, to the consumer,
Yeah, that's my big thing with movies in general, is like I decided I like fell in love with movies going to the old bow tie on New Park.
Oh, yeah, $4 Tuesdays.
We used to go after like basketball practice, high school. We'd get out of basketball practice, we'd pile into some cars, drive over there, and just like go see whatever. And I remember like sometimes we just go see whatever, like Transformers 9, and we would just like we were high school boys. Yeah, we just see it whatever. But sometimes we would see movies that had like a message. So I remember we went to go see Creed. And, like, we sat in the parking lot for, like, an hour and, like, debated the themes of Creed. And for me, that is the, like, holy grail of filmmaking, is if you can make a movie that is accessible. Because there's some movies that come out every year that have incredible themes, have incredible performances, but just they are not accessible to, like, most audiences. If you put them in there, they just kind of fall asleep or wouldn't be interested.
Yeah.
And so that's, like, deciding to make Midas a heist movie. Obviously, I love heist movies. I love Ocean's 11. But I also know that's accessible. And so it can be a movie about health insurance industry and like some other things, but if it's a heist movie, there's some comedy in there, people are going to eat that up, and hopefully along the way think a little bit more about the messages as well.
Facts. And I don't know, I mean, you've never robbed a bank, right?
I've never robbed a bank.
So like, where, right, I mean, I want to put, we could edit it out if you did, blink twice if you have, but like, where does the motive, like the inspiration come from? Where do these ideas draw from?
Yeah, honestly, like movie ideas just come kind of randomly, and oftentimes they'll just have to like sit in my brain for a while. So like the idea for Midas, actually, I had back in 2018 for a class I was taking. I like came up with this idea for a heist movie that becomes more than just a heist movie, and like the overall structure of Midas I came up with back in 2018. But I didn't know what to do with it. And then in 2020, during COVID, I was sitting around. I was like, oh, I want to shoot a movie in Hartford. I pulled this out, and I was like, oh, what if it's a health insurance company that they're robbing? Like, initially, it was going to be a bank or something that they robbed. And I was like, what if it's a health insurance company that they robbed? And suddenly it clicked, and then the whole movie was there.
That is very Hartford, Connecticut of you. It's very like, oh, we're robbing it. That's actually why I liked it. I was like, wow, well, they're robbing an insurance company for the best reason, too. I'm not going to give it up, but...
Yeah.
I was going to say, we gonna get canceled. They were like, yes, you guys cannot watch this episode. Don't air it. Nothing at all. But I mean, that's dope, because it's like there's heist movies, but not like that. And that's what makes it exciting, especially because we can, like we were saying before, resonate with, oh, I know that spot. Yeah. I know that place. Like, I'm excited to see it.
Yo, I'm telling you, just
it was great.
and Ash isn't even from Connecticut, but like obviously like she knows her surroundings, but it's like literally when you're just panning down the street, I'm like, wow, I know this block. Like this is I feel I was like, is this how people feel all the time? Like when movies are shot in their city?
I think so. I feel like for my fake CT residents, I had a sense of appreciation because I think this is something that Hartford definitely needed. I think there's not a lot of people that are in their own creative ways showing that magnitude of appreciation to Hartford and like what Hartford is, because I've heard Jacob say it before too, like there's a lot of culture here, there's a lot of history here, but for a lot of people just kind of outside looking in, Hartford is just like it's the city, people know like everybody goes to Hartford for this and that, or it's always this insurance company, the Hartford or Travelers. So to actually see not only like a heist film, but for me, I thought it was also very relatable because, again, not going to spoil the overall plot line, but I just think like seeing from beginning to end and just how like it kind of just flowed all the way through, I was just like, this is something that I have even more appreciation for as a viewer because you can relate to all of it.
Word.
I think a lot of the times when we see movies, you can relate to it in some aspects, but not, for me at least, I've never been able to relate to a movie fully, like from start to finish.
Wow.
Is that like, was that intentional? Like, do you want people to relate to it, or what do you want people to get out of the movie?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much, but like I think the relatability is really important, and like in creating these characters, have a trio of them, and hopefully you find something relatable in one of our 3 lead characters, and like. Either you are the Ricky, the like outgoing, come up with this crazy plan kind of person, or you're his friend who's like, all right, this plan is crazy, we got to take a step back. Another thing I want to say just like about narratives, right? I think narratives are so important. And when we're talking about Hartford, like when we're talking about on-screen narratives, a lot of times that has been, what you see on the local news of reporters standing outside of a crime scene. And that's the only time you see it on screen. And so it was important, and like one of the things I want to do was showcase the city, showcase all the best places, because, we'll see if Midas blows up, but like there are movies that are cult classics that people go see and then say, oh, I want to go visit those spots. It's like we open the movie at Scott's Bakery, and hopefully if you're, not from Hartford and you see this movie and then you're like, oh, I want to go visit Hartford, where should I visit? Oh, let me go to Scott's Bakery first, because that's the opening shot of the movie, is that sign.
Right.
Yeah.
Little staples that step out, that stick out.
I've still never been to Soul Bowl.
That's crazy.
Soul Bowl's
They have a second location now.
On Franklin Ave.
Wait,
shout out Soul Bowls. They gave us catering. They're in the movie.
Yeah.
He wears one of the shirts that he wears in the movie is also like, we went into film at Soul Bowls and they were just like, hey, Laquan, here's a free shirt. And then he came the next day, he's like, can we change the shirt I'm wearing today and instead wear the Soul Bowl shirt? Because the food was really good. Like,
I've heard,
You never had it either?
Nah.
They're just open at the most peculiar times. Shout out Soul Bowls. I've heard nothing but good things. But like, just my work schedule.
That's it for me too. It's like, if I know I want Soul Bowl, like literally, I kid you not, when like 4 o'clock hits, I'm like, bye y'all, I gotta go. Like I'm not talking to nobody. Like I need to get there so I can get some food from Soul Bowl. Because like usually by like 7 they're wrapped up and closed.
What was the support like from folks in Hartford?
I mean, like I've said this before, we could not have shot this movie anywhere else.
Really?
And that was because we got so much, like, we did the calculations afterwards. For every dollar in cash that we had to make this movie, we had like $2 worth of donations. So whether that was food being discounted or donated, people donating gear, location, like we didn't pay for location fees or anything like that.
That's
like
dope.
there was so much support. And that support, like, is what makes Hartford special as a filming location, because people were excited about it. And also we put together like this presentation that was pitching them about like, here's what this movie's going to do for Hartford. It's going to showcase Hartford. This is what it's about. And I think people bought into that. We're like, all right, I want to be a part of this project. And if I can lend my time, lend my house,
space,
whatever that is, I'm down.
Dang, y'all was in people's houses?
We were in people's houses, yeah.
That's
on the south end, right?
We were in the south end. Actually,
I knew where they was at.
Small little Easter egg for you. Actually, that house is my uncle, who was Mayor of Hartford from 93 to 2001. That was his house when he was mayor.
Wow.
So that was a cool. And then also the mansion that they do the big party at, which like has a pool in the background, a fountain, beautiful house. that's on the corner of Asylum and Whitney. And that was another one. We just we went out to them and we're like,
That's
hey,
crazy.
can we film in your beautiful house? And they're like, yeah.
Right across from Elizabeth
Wow.
Park. So it's funny because I always looked at that house growing up. I'm just like, I wonder who lives there. I was like, I bet you no one lives there because you never see anyone outside. But it's a beautiful. I know it.
So what was the experience like? You know, planning, writing, thinking during COVID, because like I think COVID's experience for everybody was very different.
Yeah.
Very, very different. Whether it was like mentally, emotionally, whatever it is, people got through it differently. So what was that like for you, like mentally and working on this?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say one of the things that I miss about COVID is it allowed me to just like lock in on something without distractions, because like there was not a lot of other things going on. And so I'd be like, all right, for the next 5 hours, I'm just going to write, and I don't have to worry about like getting an email that distracts me. Like now, every 15 minutes I get an email that I'm like, oh, I got to take care of this. And so I can't be in the same headspace. And so that was a key piece. I mean, like when it clicked in for me, I wrote Midas in 3 days, which like that first draft was 110 pages. And it was just like
In 3 days.
3 days I just locked in.
You sleep?
Yeah, I mean, like I would wake up, I had the like next 40 pages in my head. I just write 40 pages for the day and then go to sleep.
And is it just like words just come into your mind and you just...
I mean, like I kind of knew. I still have the notebook where I like mapped out the whole movie. I was like, okay, like this happens, and this happens, this happens, and then I went in and just like wrote it.
Wow.
40 pages of the clip.
Bro, it took me 3 months
3
to write
full
my
days is
dissertation, which
wild.
was 180 pages.
It's a lot easier to write. Like script writing, you're just like, all right,
Because it's all creative.
this is what the characters are gonna say, and also like 40 pages. I think if you put that into like dissertation form, it'd be like 30 pages because it's a lot of space on that page.
Right. Damn, that's
You was
player.
locked in.
Facts.
But that was a code. Like I could not do that right now. That was so much of a COVID like
Luxury.
Yeah.
But
nothing else is
were
happening.
there any points that you were like, damn, I don't want to do this, or I'm tired of being in this house, or like, fuck this script. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sick of this.
You know, I mean, like
I
in the
want
writing,
this, Grandpa.
the writing stage, there is definitely this like you write it and then you should just walk away from it. I think that's with a lot of different like creative ideas. You need to get it all down, like capture it, and then walk away for 2 weeks and come back to it. And it's like 2 weeks later, if you're like, oh, this is good, then it's a good idea. But sometimes it'll like come back, and I would do that. I would like rewrite a scene. I'd be like, oh, how about this? Come back 2 weeks later. I'm like, no, that was like in the moment. I was desperate, or I had this idea, but like 2 weeks later, it doesn't stand up, and so go back to the old version.
so then how do you know when something's ready? When like, this is it. I'm ready to put it out. I'm ready to present it.
That's a great
Because people will sit there and overthink, like, nah, script. You know?
Yeah, and this is, I mean, like, I think this applies to screenwriting, but this applies to all areas of business, whatever it is. I think you need to have your core team of people who you trust that can tell you, right? And so, like, I had my 5 people who were reading various script drafts, and I shared with them in, March of 2022. I said, hey, I think this is ready. And they read it, and they said, yep, this is ready.
Wow.
And, like, that is what you need to have. You need to have those people that you trust that will tell you, nope, this is not ready. Like, you have a strong enough relationship that they can tell you.
Right.
Hey,
Like an honest, genuine.
That transparency.
Yeah.
Are they all in the industry, or were these like friends, family, whoever?
So they're all in the industry. Okay. They have different roles, though, right? So, like, some of them are other writers. Like, some of them have the same role as me. Some people, like, one of my producers, Christina, who's one of the producers on the project, like, she is not a writer, but she, knows
Understands
the industry.
vision. Like,
Yeah. Because also, those people, you also want them to be able to give you good notes and, like, be able to identify. And I think that's where you need somebody that knows the industry to be able to be like, hey, this isn't working because, or this is working because.
yeah, it's the because part. This sucks. Well, why? I don't know.
Right. You can't give criticism and have it be like just open ended and there's like no feedback with it. That's why I don't like people who say they don't like something but they don't explain why. It's like
I just don't like it.
it's like can you elaborate more? No, I just don't like it. Okay, cool. See you never.
Pineapples.
So what kind of, so this is a heist movie, right? What, I don't know, would you say that's an action comedy? Like,
I'd say it's a heist thriller with some
heist
comedy
thriller,
in it. Yeah.
So what kind of genre, like, is that your genre? Do you want to expand? Like, where do you want to take?
Yeah, I mean, I would, like I said, the holy grail for me is always doing movies that are accessible,
Right.
but have that message. And so, like, the project I did before this was a basketball drama, like a sports basketball drama. And actually, I would love to do like a full-length sports movie of some kind because I'm a big sports fan. I think one of the projects I'm working on right now is like a fugitive thriller.
Nice.
Right? And so like I think there are different aspects and different worlds I want to play in, and I think that's like the beauty of filmmaking is you can be doing different things. You don't have to do just one genre.
Right.
But all of them I want to kind of have that accessibility where you watch the trailer and you're like, that looks like a fun movie. Like I would watch that on a Friday night.
Right.
But also hopefully within that is something like a little bit more to think about.
So would you say like accessibility is like your style, or like like Jordan Peele has like the psychological thriller with the plot twist, right? So like what is your like this is me?
I mean, honestly, we'll
or is that still figuring that out?
Yeah, it's a little bit of like, because I think part of that, and I'm guessing Jordan Peele would tell you this, is that like the industry wants to pigeonhole you in something, right? And so like Jordan Peele forever was pigeonholed into this sketch comedy, and he had to do Get Out to like break out of that.
Right.
But then now is kind of finding himself back pigeonholed into a new genre.
Right.
Right. And so there are some directors who have managed to like break out of those and like do a wide range of things. Like Steven Soderbergh, who did Ocean's 11, like went on and did a bunch of other random stuff.
But what about Tarantino? Because is he pigeonholed, or did he just create his own little lane?
Yeah, I mean, Tarantino and some of these like auteur directors, I think what they get to do is because they auteur
I don't get got often, but I was like, what did you just say?
Why are you cursing at me like that, bro?
Excuse me.
The auteur directors are the directors who like they have built a brand and a following that just like people know them.
Yeah, okay.
And like you go watch a movie not because of the plot, but because of who the director is.
Right.
Right. And
Like
so,
you're seeing a Tarantino movie.
Yeah, a Tarantino movie.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan is becoming that. I mean, Jordan Peele in some ways is an auteur.
M.
but,
Night
like,
Shyamalan.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so Christopher Nolan, Quentin Tarantino
Yeah.
has gotten to this point in his career now where he's just like, I want to make a movie, and studios are like, all right, here's a check, like we want to make it with you.
Right.
I would love to get there one day, but we gotta ways to go.
You will. I think he said he's only making a certain amount.
10, yeah. So theoretically, I think he only has one left. He says, I don't know.
Interesting.
Wow.
So you bring up an interesting point, like when you say, like the industry tries to like pigeonhole people, right? But you need a sense of courage or bravery to break out of that. Not just like in life, but obviously in the industry. What does that look like? Because you're putting out this movie, right? And it's like people might not like it. It might flop. You know what I mean? God forbid, not going. I don't think it will, right?
No, I
but
don't think so.
but you get what I'm saying. So like, where does this courage come from to be like, I'm putting my art into the world and y'all gonna receive it?
Yeah, I mean, like honestly, I think there is definitely a level of like, you've got to just be a little crazy to just be like, yeah, like
A little delusional.
You have to have enough delusion to be like, I believe that this could make it big, because if you don't have that delusion, like you're just gonna hold yourself back.
I love that.
And it is a big jump. Like I mean, for me, the big jump was I was working in LA at Mattel Films. Like Barbie was happening, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna quit and go make Midas. And I had multiple people like, you sure you want to leave Mattel right now? Like you got a paid job.
Wait,
Life is
Barbie?
good. Yeah, like I was at Mattel Films as we were
With
going into
Margot
production
Robbie,
on
the one
Barbie.
that just
The
came
one
out?
that just came out?
Yeah, so I was in LA working for
dope.
Mattel as we were going into production on that, and I was like, I really like this project. This would be cool to stay around, but also right now I feel like the right move for me is to go shoot Midas.
What prompted
That's
that
dope.
jump? Like, cause that you
gut
could have,
feeling?
like you could have waited till Barbie was done, but
Yeah.
you were like, nah, I gotta do this now.
I mean, like part of it was I just had the opportunity. Like I was like, okay, I want to shoot in the summer, and like the investment, everything had lined up where I could shoot it that summer, and it was also just partially a like, hey, this path I'm on, like I could see the path that I was on, but it didn't feel like the right path. Like I loved my time at Mattel. Shout out the whole Mattel team, but I was like, I don't want to be making movies about toys for the rest of my life.
Right.
And so that was all right, I learned a lot from this job. I was there for a year. I learned a lot from it. I was like, all right, I'm ready to jump
It's
and
time
take what
now.
I learned to go try and do it myself.
Word.
And like, I mean, again, even to this day, I'm like, I wonder what my life would have been like if I'd stayed. And because I could, maybe I say, hey, I'm going to stay for a year, finish out Barbie, and then I get offered a promotion. I'm like, okay, I'm going to stay for a little bit more.
And then Midas never gets made.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
become a lifer, yeah. I think it was very well received, though. like at the, what was it called? The showing?
The premiere, yeah.
The premiere,
world
yeah.
premiere, yeah.
Oh, wow. I was part of history. I still got the tickets.
Yeah, I still have the playbill.
Yeah. I think it was very well received, though. Like, maybe it's because, like, Hartford natives, but I think everyone was just like, oh, shit. Like,
Yeah, I mean, everybody was lit. They were, like, hyping the movie up. They're like, oh, da-da-da-da.
Right.
That was the first time showing it in front of, like, a real audience. Like, I'd shown it to, like, small groups. That was the first time showing it to more than, like, 5 people at a time. And so when, like, jokes hit and people, like, the whole theater laughs, you're like, oh, this feels good. It's just, like, straight dopamine hits.
I tried to tell that girl I was funny. She didn't want to listen to me. Look at me now.
We say that about the live podcast. Like you're funny when you're amongst your friends and whatnot, but like, oh no, y'all all resonated with that. Cool.
It's like, y'all really like me.
Yeah. No, it was dope.
So with Father's Day just passing, right? Who were some of like the male figures or just mentors that you've?
Timmy, sorry.
Oh my! The way you went, I thought you was gonna have something, but yeah. Who were like some of the father figures or just like male figures that helped you along your journey?
I mean, there's so many. Obviously, like my father and my grandparents, my grandfathers as well, all were like. I think one of the things I say is my dad and both of my grandfathers are all very like, if I want to do something, I can figure out how to do it myself kind of people. Mm-hmm. And that, in the making of Midas, there were a lot of places where I'd get to like a roadblock and I'd be like, oh, I don't have like a person on my team that knows how to sell a movie or how to do this or how to do that. And I'd be like, all right, I can watch some YouTube tutorials. I can like figure it out. And like a dozen roadblocks along the way that I was just like, I learned from my dad and my grandparents that like, hey, if you get to that point, you can always figure it out yourself. And so I think that was really big in my progress. Shout out Coach Tucker at Classical. I think one of the things he taught me was like mental toughness. And honestly, I think that I have a more nuanced view of that now. But like one of the things I came out of high school with was like, hey, like no matter how mentally hard it is, like, you know, we used to, in high school, it was running suicides and like pushing through. But that same mindset of like, when things get really hard, you can just be like, all right, I give up, or you can push through and like see the results. And I think that was a really big lesson I learned along the way.
Word.
I gotta give your dad his flowers, because you know it's funny. I might not be where I am today without your dad. I told him this. Well, he actually threw it in my face, to be honest with you. So like because we went to breakfast like years after graduating, just like catch up at Ashley's, by the way. But yeah, so yeah, I was supposed to get kicked out of my school, out of Classical. Like I did not have the grades to pass on to the next year, and I made a deal with him. He was like, "Well, if you don't have the grades, you got to leave." And like you made a deal with a student, so I don't know like how much you thought I was gonna uphold this deal. But no, like that was actually the kick in the ass I needed to actually start doing better and actually make something of myself and like pay attention. But yeah, so I wanted to give him his flowers while you were here, because I was like, yeah, no, Mr. Sullivan, that man was very impactful for me.
Word. We kind of hit on it earlier about like when you're putting like the script and everything together and people are saying, hey, like do this, do that. That's one form of criticism, right? When I was in college, so I'm actually a communications major. Don't do shit with it, but
you're on a podcast. I mean,
there you go. But one of the classes I had to take was a critics class. So the guy was like an actual movie critic, and he would bring in TV shows or movies before they aired, and like we had to sign a contract that we wouldn't talk about it, and like we had to properly like critique these movies, right? Or like we watched the pilot episode of Modern Family, or whatever.
That's cool.
But
it's a cool class.
No, it was dope. I wasn't doing shit but watching movies and TV every week, and you had to write like a 1-page. What were your critiques? But now those kind of critics are different. How do you take their criticism? Because that could hurt.
Yeah. So honestly, we're about to go through this because we're getting our Rotten Tomato score, and so like, I'm getting emails, which, you know, knock on wood, so far like seems like it's being well received. But it's a tough thing, and honestly, I think one of the differences in the criticisms is like up until this point, most of the critiques or notes have come from people in the industry who know like what it is, and like so, you know, oftentimes they're gonna know, hey, like the movie could have felt bigger, but also like you didn't have $200 million to spend. So like,
right.
when you get to those critics, like they're not thinking about like the logistics of like what you did with the resources that you had. They're just like, our job is to review movies.
This is
and so I think that is one of the, we'll see where that goes, but I think you need to be able to disconnect and say like, all right, I can take the criticism and like learn from the next project. That's my other big thing, is always learn from the next project. And I think that's one of the cool things about movies is like, after June 28th, this is out into the world, like I'm kind of done with this project and moving on to the next one.
Can't do anything else.
And all I can do is just take the lessons from it. And like, there were a lot of lessons along the way. Take the lessons and bring them to the next project.
You actually just said something. If you call something low budget, is that derogatory?
So it's not derogatory. I mean, like, Midas is a low budget indie film.
Yeah.
I think it is all about how you sell yourself, though, right? And so we don't, like, when we were selling the movie, we weren't calling it low budget. We were like, hey, look at this flashy heist movie. We took the best images, the best. Like, we put a trailer together that had the best looking shots, and like, and we had people that we go into these meetings, and people, because they always want to try and guess what your budget is, because they think like, okay, if I know your budget, I like beat that by a little bit, you'll immediately sell to me. And so we would go into these meetings, and people would be like, all right, and they'd like try and guess what our budget is. They kind of throw it out, hey, like that was a good budget, and they'd kind of throw out a number, and I was like, that's 10 times our budget, but I appreciate the I appreciate the love.
That's dope.
It seems like you've done a good job of like separating professional and like your personal like feelings or emotions towards things.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is so key, because I know too many people who like have one interaction that hangs them up and like kills a professional relationship. Like they get one note and they get so hung up on it, like, oh, this person doesn't understand me, I'm never working with them again, I'm never talking to them again. And it's like, no, like that was their opinion on one thing, but if you want to have a successful business relationship, there's some things that are worthy of cutting somebody off and not working with them again. But like, just because they didn't agree with you or had a different opinion on a creative thing or whatever, like you can't hold that personally.
So what you gonna cut somebody off for?
I mean, like, I think the big things for me are like truthfulness. Like I think, especially in working business relationships where like you're dealing with money and things like that, you need to find people on your team that you can trust. You can give them the card. You're not looking over your shoulder about that. And then I think also like there are bigger like, I guess I'll be like, I would not hire somebody that's like in 2024, hey, I'm voting for Trump. I'd be like, yeah, like that's just not the kind of set I want to, and I'd be too worried that on that set you could cause problems with other people.
Too controversial, yeah.
Yeah, and so there are certain things that I'm like, hey,
even if morals.
There's morals and there's things that I'm like, you could be the hardest work in the world, but if you are going to cause issues with other people, like filmmaking is a collaborative thing, and so if I'm worried that you won't be able to collaborate with this team, like it's not going to work.
You just brought up a good point. So the culture on the set, right? So I forgot, one of my favorite shows too is Ozark. And one of the biggest things that people said after the show was that the culture on the set was just so, it was like no other. Yeah, it is slowly dipping. I got you. Yeah. They were saying how the culture on the set was just like no other movie set or any show set they've been on. And these are like people who've been on multiple things. So like, have you been on, well, you don't have to name them, but have you been on sets where you're like, oh, this sucks? Or like,
I'm not going to name toxic. Yeah. Well, no, so this is what I'll say. Like, one of the things, and I've said this to other, aspiring writer directors, is you have to put in your time and like go be the lowest rung production assistant is what it's called. Like you make minimum wage, you work the longest hours on these sets. And I think why you need to do it is you need to see what you want in all of your crew members. So both like one of the things for us, the very first job I worked on in LA, I went out there, we were working 15, 16-hour days every day. And
Paramount?
Like, yeah.
I looked at your LinkedIn.
He said, I did my homework.
He's like, how did you do that?
But yeah, so we were working 15, 16-hour days. And like I remember I was a PA, I would wrap up. I lived 45 minutes away from set. I would drive home and probably not even eat. Like I would try and eat in the car ride, hit my bed, set my alarm, wake up the next morning, go straight back on like 6 hours of sleep. And like that was it. That was my entire life for a month. And that was one of the things on Midas. I was like, I don't want to do that. And so as we were having conversations with budget and all this stuff, you know, one of the scheduling people we gave the script to, he's like, I think you can do this in 16 days. I was like, well, we're going to do it in 20. He's like, well, that's going to cost you, 20% more if you want to film over 20 days instead of 16. I'm like, we're going to do over 20 days and we're going to do 10-hour days max. Like 10 hours, we're done. And that means that when we wrap, we shoot 9 to 7, we finish at 7. People can go home, eat dinner, maybe watch a show, watch a movie, wake up the next day, decompress, come back the next day, and they're going to have more energy. Yeah. Come to work happy. And I think that's a really big piece of it. And so that was one of the big things for me. And I only got that lesson. If I hadn't been on a 16-hour day set before, if somebody had said, hey, you can, save 20% of your budget by doing 16-hour days. If I was just a writer director and never been in that situation, I've been like, oh yeah, great. And so I think having been a crew member, I got to put myself in certain shoes and see what I'm looking for. Also, just in some of the other positions, there's the assistant director who's kind of runs the set. And I've been on sets with a lot of assistant directors. Some of them are yellers and screamers and rule their set by fear. And there's other people who are very personable. And so that was okay, I know what I want. The old school way is to yell and scream at people and have everybody be afraid of you. And I was like, no, I want an assistant director who's going to know everybody's name, and people are going to, work hard when we're running out of time and we need everybody to pick up the pace. They're going to pick up the pace not because they're getting yelled and screamed at, but because there's a real relationship. Yeah.
What the end goal is.
Yeah. You built a healthy culture, and the beauty about that is now as you grow throughout the industry, people are going to hear that and be like, oh no, that's a guy I want to work with.
Yeah.
That's somewhere I want to be, not oh, well, he's an ass, but his films make $5 million, so I'm going to bite the bullet to go over there.
And I bet you it's interesting too. There's going to be older directors who will hear this if they hear this. And they're going to be like, oh, he just doesn't understand. Yeah, he doesn't get what it takes to do X, Y, and Z, Whereas no, I set my standard. And
right.
Yeah, I think there's two pieces. One is there's the idea of oh, well, you haven't hit that tough moment yet. Mm-hmm. And that's true, but at the end of the day, for me, it's always about at the end of the day, we're not doing surgery to save somebody's life. We're making a movie, and movies have a lot of power and importance, but it's not worth putting someone in danger. Because the very first set I was on, actually, that 15, 16-hour day, one of the crew members fell asleep at the wheel, went off the road. Luckily, everything was okay. But I was I never want to be in a position where I'm oh yeah, my movie caused somebody to crash. Yeah,
right.
That's not worth it. And so I think that's one of the things to keep in mind. At the end of the day, especially with the way movies work, there's always a fix. It's the fix it in post. Mm-hmm. Just hey, we'll just figure it out later. You don't like to say that, but when it's a situation of do I want to make a dangerous situation, or do I want to compromise the health of all these people that have come together to work on this? The movie's not that important. The health of these people are more important.
Especially because at the end of the day, they're bringing your dream to light. So they're just as important as it. So when watching the trailer, I think in the bottom right, it says money versus morals, right? So what do you guys think about that concept? And obviously you all have seen the movie and experienced it, but more, I guess, just in general. Because I know Spencer's a money
Midas
guy.
Aside,
Midas aside, right?
And the name Midas is just, it just goes so well with everything.
It was just so well thought out.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, no.
So I think one of the things that I tapped into actually when writing this movie, and where I came up with that money versus morals piece, was I graduated college, and a lot of my friends went and tried to get the highest paying job they could. And I was coming out of Yale, so people get high paying jobs. Some of my friends went to go work on Wall Street, were making $250K a year straight out of college.
Word.
Other of my friends, myself included, said, hey, I want to be an artist, I want to be a filmmaker, whatever. I'm going to follow my passion,
right?
Or I'm going to follow what I think is right. I'm going to go work for a nonprofit, or do what I believe in. And I remember there were a lot of conversations as we're graduating college, and the people that are all working at the nonprofits are oh, look at those sellouts over there. They're going to go, make $250K, but they're going to ruin the world. They're investing in fossil fuels or whatever, and like they're the reason that our world's dying. Yeah. Right.
Traders.
And so there's those people, and then on the flip side though, right, the people that are making 250K, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them were like, hey, like this is my first opportunity to make this kind of money and give back to my community. Like, you know, I'm a first generation college student, whatever that
Use
is,
their
I can give
platform
back.
for good.
Right.
Yeah. And so that was one of the things, without spoiling anything, like in Midas, that's a theme, is you have one character who comes from a lot of money, doesn't really have to worry about how much they're making, and has certain moral ideas that they are really strict by. And another character who's facing the realities of, hey, I got to pay for my mom's medical treatment. You know, money is important to me.
Right.
And so I think there's this idea of like, oh, I can have this perfect world where I can make a lot of money and morally be right. And when the rubber hits the road, like what decision? And I think that applies to, you know, on the filmmaking side too. Like, I think about my next project. I could try and sell out and do a movie that's just big action, you know, not necessarily what I believe in, but could make a lot of money.
11.
Right.
Or I can make a movie that I believe in. And so, you know, figuring those things out, I think is in so many career paths is kind of a tug and pull.
It's interesting because like hearing what you're saying, right? Like I've always been the type to be like, if I got it, we got it. You know what I mean? And like Spencer will tell you, not that I don't value money, but money's always gonna come back. You know what I mean? So there are more important things to me than money. But now, as a 31-year-old adult who pays bills, I'm very well aware of the importance of money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, when everything's good, money doesn't, not that it doesn't matter, but you don't think about it. But when you hit that tough patch, how desperate are you willing to get what you need? Or are your morals always gonna, and I pray I'm never like in that situation, but you get down and out like, damn, maybe I will go rob this motherfucking bank. Like, you know?
Right. Well, yeah, I guess when you say desperate, it's like, I guess what are you willing to do? And that's like the money versus moral.
Right.
Like, so it's like you could do something, like you could work 16-hour days, like you can have 2-3 jobs, like potentially kill yourself and like, I guess do it the moral way. Or, you know, I mean, even still in the movie, like money versus morals is interesting because like it is a heist. You know what I'm saying? Like they are stealing. You know what I'm saying?
Right. All of it's still wrong.
Yeah. But it's just like, oh, is this morally correct? But it's kind of wrong.
That was like the one scene in the preview when the chick's like, you're going to make me commit a felony. He's like, you already did one. It's like,
right. Might as well add it on.
Yeah, like, do you stop? Do you keep going? Like, and it just really makes you think, how hard are you going to stand on your morals? You know what I mean? Like, to what degree will you fold? Or will you bend? You know what I mean? And it just, and I'm just speaking like at a life, you know, lens. How hard are you going to stand 10 toes down on like, no, this is genuinely what I believe. And who are you, I guess, you know?
And I think the other thing that's, you know, there's the, hey, when you're down on your luck, what are you willing to do to get the money you need? There's the other, like, when you have the money, it's very easy to justify things to yourself. Like, when you have that success, you're like, oh, well, like, you know, it's okay. Like,
they could have worked harder.
Right. And so that's part of it also is, like, examining the other side of it of, like, the people who have the money but got it immorally but are kind of willing to justify whatever it took to get there because they have it now and they're not willing to give it up.
Right.
They're like, well, I didn't have to do X, Y, and Z, and I still got it, so they could do it too.
Yeah. And, yeah. No, it's just, yeah, when you throw money, and I actually really like that convo of, like, money versus morals, and I would love to even, like, do an episode on that. Because that, you could really dig deep into, like...
Yeah, that's literally, like, the epitome of how, when you almost think, at least for me, like, when I think of, like, the American dream, that is literally, like, money versus morals.
Right.
Like, there's so much that goes into people understanding, like, I have to put food on the table, I have to take care of my family, like, I have to work, so maybe I do have to go to this job that I don't like, they don't treat us well, but I know, like, it's paying my bills that can then, like, feed my family. Or even, too, when you're, like, you're first starting out as, like, a college student, you're like, okay, I might not get the dream job that I really want to then really skyrocket me to my career. So I might have to start in this other job just to get the experience because that's all you're hit with. You need more experience. You need more experience.
Yeah.
But it's like, are you willing to give me that experience so I can get the experience to say I then have the experience? So it was just the way your brain like processed that entire movie to like create it to what it was. I'm just like, wow. I was literally just sitting there like, this is like so many hidden messages. Like that's my kind of movie. Like,
so you know that critic show class that I was telling you guys about. Yeah. So like the beginning of the class, the teacher told us like he's gonna change how we watch movies and TV shows, because he was like, after this class, you're no longer gonna be able to just watch something and just watch it. You're now gonna be like, wait, does that mean that, or this means this, or whatever. But to Ash's point, like, I want to think, you know what I mean? And I want to, when watching something, not just be like, I mean, except for Finding Nemo, because that we don't touch that.
That's my happy place.
I didn't have to think. That's my happy place, and we live. But Spencer was like, I got you.
Because the message behind that movie is nuts. But.
Yeah, it's basically taken in an animated form.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wait, what?
Taken.
The you never saw the movie Taken with Liam Neeson?
Slightly less killing
I have,
that
but
one,
that's not.
It is quite literally the same exact plot.
Well, with
First
less
of all,
action. Maybe
What do you
less...
mean they fought sharks?
Okay, but no one was like getting shot or like dying.
They were.
The correlation's nuts, but like I'm not gonna talk about it on this episode because we might get canceled. But like it's actually like a mental health movie.
Finding Nemo?
Yeah, each fish has a different mental health thing.
Well, at the core of it, yes.
I thought that's what we were talking about.
I'm talking about like the story, like the storyline. A kid gets taken, and the father is going to get their kid back.
Who is literally 3 feet away the whole time. My bad.
But yes, neither here nor there. My bad. Ash, bring us back.
Just keep swimming.
I was gonna say, like, that's crazy. Like, you're not gonna do Finding Nemo like this. But anywho,
it made so much sense when I found out. I was like, oh, okay.
Well, yeah, I think that's with any film though that we saw in our childhood and that we're now looking back as adults. We're just like, wow, like there's so many more hidden messages. There's so many different things that maybe are applicable now because we've experienced that in our own way, shape, and form. That you're like, now I can relate to that. But I think for Midas, like being able to sit there at the premiere, watch it, and still be able to like resonate with like every single character, every single scene, even in like some little way, that doesn't happen often. And like for me, I like to really be analytical about movies when I see it. Like I like to think about what this person maybe had thought about, even just like for that character and why they had that discussion or why things ended up that way. I think a lot of it came from watching Insecure because I loved
them kids. My bad.
Wild. But I love the fact how like Issa Rae, after every episode, like she really broke down different like thought process of like what she wanted from that character, what she wanted in that scene, or even just talking about the characters in the moment of like, you know, let's dive into like why this may have really happened, and then relating it back to like similar things that she went through in her process of just becoming that big in film to like make Insecure. So to see something that local, and again, not being a CT native, but being able to still resonate and say, you know, I feel a lot of that, because even for me, after watching that film, like a few months later, like my mom got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And I literally had to, when she called me the night when she had to go to the hospital, I literally just like dropped everything and I ran to, well, I didn't run to New York, but I sped down to New York. If I could run, that would be a great superpower. Just
she got to the corner and was like, yeah, this ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
Let me get in the car.
She's not as efficient.
Right. But like there were parts of me that really felt like I would literally quit my job that same night to go take care of her. But morally, I was just like, well, how am I also going to take care of her if I have no money? Like, what else can I do to be able to support her and like help her through that process? And for me, I felt like, just talking about money versus morals, I felt like it was in the battle of kind of which one do I pick. And granted, shout out to like all my family friends like back in New York that really held me down and helped take care of her. And just, you know, FMLA, learned a whole lot about that too. But it's just crazy because, you know, there's other people who have the money, and like if a family member gets sick, you know, well, I want the best doctors for them, and I'm going to send them here, and I'm going to make sure they get all this treatment and blah, blah, blah. like you saw that same kind of like desire and passion like within the movie for the characters of wanting to be able to just lift a finger and do all of that, but they couldn't. And it's like, what else can I do to still get that same end result? So,
Word.
Actually, I got a question for you. Yes, I started agreeing with that. But no, I actually have a random question for you before you wrap up, because I know you're about to wrap. Wow, okay. That critic class that you took, right? Did you watch How I Met Your Mother before or after that?
After.
Oh.
Yeah, after. But that's also, that's like my second favorite show ever.
That's why I was curious.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but How I Met Your Mother, I could, you know what it is? Similar to what TJ was saying about like making movies that are relatable. All of my favorite shows or movies, I feel like I've lived that or I can relate to. Like, not that I've ever been a lawyer lying about, my life
Going
or
to
whatever.
law school.
Right, but even like All American, right? To this day, I cannot watch an episode of that show without shedding at least one tear.
I've yet to see it.
And so it's like,
Wait, you cry every episode?
at least once. One tear. Just one.
wow.
But bro,
Every episode?
okay, maybe every other. But it
That's
is
a lot of
it is
episodes, though.
it is
That's a lot of time.
I'm emotional. It is One Tree Hill meets Black People.
Interesting, because I loved One Tree Hill.
If I had to compare it to something from like late 90s, early 2000 TV, it would be that.
Interesting.
I don't know what One Tree Hill is.
You didn't what?
Oh, that's a
Is that before or after
classic.
Dawson's Creek?
Around the same time, a little after.
I have no idea.
I want to say One Tree Hill was a little bit before.
Or like Boy Meets World was around that time?
They weren't on the same network.
Well,
Yeah.
I know
Yeah,
that.
they
Because One Tree Hill was on CW.
yeah.
Oh, it had
The brothers.
the blonde kid with the spiky hair.
Yes.
Everyone
They
loved
played
him
basketball.
at the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I never watched it.
Well, shit. All right.
That
cool.
was my
This
no
was
cable
great.
days. That was a throwback.
Yeah, One Tree Hill.
I
Great
should
times.
call you broke up, joking.
No, I was saying myself.
So this was great. This was really, really cool. I feel like now I am more well equipped and knowledgeable about the film industry because I knew nothing going into this. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you having me on.
No, bro, I'm glad we did. This was dope. This was really, really cool. Hopefully you got as much out of it as we did.
Yeah, this was fun. This is my first time doing a podcast like this. So
Really?
getting to have like a real conversation instead of the like little 5-minute soundbite of like, hey, we're on air, but you're like live for exactly 5 minutes. I like having a long
Word.
Is that typically how podcasts are?
No, for like I've been doing TV
Oh,
spots and stuff. This is the first time
yeah.
doing like an actual podcast.
You got 5 minutes and no more, no less.
yeah.
Right.
Really?
Makes me happy.
Yeah, no, it's like, hey, like we're going live on air, and like you can tell the reporter gets in your ear. All right, we've got to wrap up, and all right, thank you so much for coming on, and like you're done.
But I was in the middle of my sentence. No. Like, that's it.
It'd
no
be
longer
crazy
care.
watching some of those like interviews or just like stuff on the news sometimes in like the morning time, and you could see like they want to say something else, and they're like, "All right, bring it back to you, Jenny." It's like, damn, he didn't finish.
Well, shoot, saying all that, did we miss anything? Is there
Yeah.
anything you want to say before we get to the 15 seconds and all that?
No, I mean I appreciate you guys having me on, and honestly, like go see Midas.
No, for sure.
Right. We love
And
a
you are
shameless
welcome
plug.
back whenever you want.
Anytime, yeah.
You got our info. So you guys know 15 Seconds of Fame. We'll start with Ash, work our way down. Look at that camera. And you can talk your shit, say whatever you want to say, and yeah, that's it.
Oh man. So I will first say thank you to TJ because I think this was great. And also just being at the movie premiere, y'all need to go see that movie. I don't hear no excuse why you couldn't see that movie, why you didn't go see the movie. Just go see the movie.
Especially if you're from Connecticut.
For real, like
Like,
especially being a
what?
Hartford native, like he got all the classics of Hartford in there. So go see it.
intended.
But go see the movie. But my 15 Seconds of Fame is definitely just talking with TJ resonated a lot with me of like really tapping into that natural born grit that you have. So whenever you feel like you're hitting a low spot, don't feel like, this is it for yourself or like, why is this happening to me? There's a reason why it's happening, and you really just have to push through it and fight for what you really want. Because I feel like for myself right now, I'm in another crossroad where I'm just like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? But I'm going to push through it. So push through, y'all.
It's always hard following up after Ash.
So why you have me go first then?
Because Chivalry's not dead, especially on the How'd I Get Here podcast. So yeah, no, definitely thank you, TJ, for showing and coming. This was dope. It's also just dope seeing someone that you went to school with. Like, we didn't like. I don't really think I grew up with you, but it's like, yeah, I saw you around all the time.
Now
so,
you can flex like I know a movie producer, director all day.
right, yeah, that's my boy. So no, this is dope. I think to piggyback on that is that you really shouldn't neglect the relationships and the people in your life, no matter where it is. It could be the workplace, it could be school, you could be at the bar. I've met some really cool people just being out and about and being friendly. So no, this was dope. Can't wait to see the movie again. I'm probably gonna see it a couple times. I'll probably get the bootleg just for the Hartford culture. And nah, for real, we should host a How'd I Get Here podcast like event to go see the movie. To be honest with you,
Oh my
I'd be down.
Yeah.
Like, yo, go meet us at the movie theater.
yeah, let's go see it.
I'm down.
That's lit.
Yeah, I know I love the
I'm gonna
movies.
be here.
We can go see it again.
It's not like it's just a one night only.
Does that matter? Like, I know people are always like the initial weekend, but does it matter?
Yes, initial weekend matters. We have to sell a certain number to get extended a second week, which I think we actually just did today. Like, we sold out enough for opening night alone to get extended for a second week.
Dope.
Is it week by week?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
For just you or just like movies in general?
I mean, most movies in general, basically, like, they will see how something does for the weekend, and then on Monday morning be like, all right, this movie performed the best. Let's extend it, or let's like add it to more screens. Like, if it's a movie theater with multiple screens.
Really?
See, that just made so much more sense because literally when I went to go see Bad Boys, I literally saw 3 different movie theaters had the same movie, but they were all showing like an hour apart from each other. And I was like, but they have all these other movies that just came out like, right, like why we just booked up 3 whole theaters? But that makes sense now.
Wow, I never.
Week by week
You probably know
intense.
all the secrets.
I mean, we've had to learn all the secrets in the last 2 years making this movie, selling this movie.
Wow.
Wow, you know what you're making me think of, and we got to get to your 15 seconds of fame. But like in Connecticut, right? Like, I may be wrong, but we are like pioneers in the podcast like scene. Yeah. Like, I started this podcast before COVID, right? And then obviously COVID hit. Everybody wanted to do podcasts, blah blah, whatever. But like, we were one of the first to do like live episodes. We've done pop-up shops. Like, we've done, like, we're some of the first to do it, but I wonder the hidden gems or like the secrets that we don't know. You know what I mean?
Like
that
market
we're
properly.
Right, you know, like all the stuff that would open those doors is very interesting. Like, once you get there, oh shit. You know, like, we could tell you right now how to host a successful live event. We've done it on so many different scales. So it's just interesting, like, the stuff you learn.
Yeah, and it's the experience that, like, you have to go in and try and do it.
Right.
Because you can, like, do it for however long you want. You can say, I'm going to try and read every single blog post or whatever, and those are helpful, but until you actually go do it, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So, like, I think I'm a big go try and do the thing and learn in the process.
Word. Well, shit, your 15 seconds of fame.
Yeah. Right.
First of all, thank you guys for having me on.
Hey, come back, please.
Anytime.
Yeah.
And I think my 15 seconds of fame, I'll say, you know, don't sleep on Hartford and the narratives coming out of Hartford. This podcast, Midas, you know, I think the narratives are really important, and I'm really optimistic and inspired by the work I'm seeing all around of different creators telling positive stories in Hartford and uplifting the city. And I think that, you know, that's the long-term impact of that is going to be really important.
Word. Can you tell us again when and where we can see the movie, Midas?
Yep, so Midas will be in theaters June 28th. In theaters across the country, will be in New York, LA, Boston, Hartford. In Hartford, you can see it at Real Artways. We have be there opening night. June 28th will be a Q&A with me afterward. We'll also be at Westbrook Cinemas. And you can go to hartfordfilm.com/Midas to see all the latest updates on what theaters have it and where you can get tickets.
Will it just, on Real Artways, will it just be on the 28th, or can we see it all
It'll
weekend?
be the 28th through at least July 4th, and hopefully it will be extended to July 11th at least.
For sure.
No, it will. It will.
For sure.
I'll be back then, so I'm going to go.
We all go.
Right.
All right, well, for me, TJ, thank you. This was really, really dope, really exciting to do this. Y'all 3, thank you for always being here, Collective Space. thank you for hosting us. If you guys need a office space, a podcast space, a meeting space,
A place to start a movie.
Right.
the collective space is your space. My 15 seconds of fame is just follow your dreams. You never know where they might take you, even if they sound a little crazy. Like TJ said, you got to be a little bit delusional to get to where you want to be and to get
till it true.
places that no one else have been. And with that being said, this is the best podcast in CT. TJ's movies are going to blow. We going to blow, and that's a wrap because we the best.